Okay. Oh, that internet of yours, Anne, you're just in and out again. Okie dokes. So, yes, tonight's practice, and I don't know whether you remember this, but a couple of weeks ago, do you remember when I pulled the words out of the hat, out of the bag, and I gave you something to think about while you're in your yin yoga poses? And I don't know whether you remember this because I think I have said it before in the past, but sometimes I'm going to give you things to do which really appeal to your nature, really appeal to the way you like to practice. And sometimes I'm going to give you things to do which don't appeal at all, which you find almost irritating in its style. And so you have the power to drop in and out of what I'm suggesting for you to do according to whether or not you want to do it. However, there is a discipline here, and obviously you are the student and I am the teacher, and you're here to learn to progress and to explore under the guidance, under the safety, if you like, of having the teacher going to take you along a journey, along a path. So when I say to you, you know, you can drop in and out of these kinds of things, that's not an excuse for you to go, no, I'm not doing this because I can't be bothered. But if it does bring up feelings of real kind of irritation or angst or whatever, and you think, no, this is not for me, then know that that's okay to modify it, to change your practice. That being said, because tonight's practice is pranayama, and pranayama in yin, some people adore and some people loathe. Okay, and I'm don't spin either way. I don't flip to one side or the other. But some days I love it with the breath work, and some days I don't. So sit with that and understand it for yourself. Okay. So very long-winded introduction, I'm sorry, but hopefully by now you've got yourself into a comfortable seat. Let your shoulders drop down away from your ears. Find a comfortable seat to nestle into. The hands can rest onto the lap. The eyes can drop downwards towards the ground or close completely. Take a long, slow, delicious breath in. And an easy, slow again, full breath out. Keep breathing in and out with deeper breaths, feeling calm and soothed. And I'd like you to make the tiniest amount of sound now with your breath. Still breathing through the nose, but directing the breath down the back of the throat. And when you breathe in this manner, you are making the breath sound a bit like the ocean. That's the sound that you're aiming for, just soft sound of waves. And this might be how you breathe routinely, I don't know. But sometimes having this gentle sound gives us another quality to attach our attention onto. And if we're looking for maybe a way to drop into a more meditative practice, then the breath is the place to go, in my opinion. And if you're breathing in slowly and steadily, then your breath is going to last for a longer amount of time. And you might find that you start to count your breath. For instance, right now, my breath is lasting probably a very slow count to 7. And I'm doing that, that's not with force or strain, but I want you to work towards something that's similar to that. So something that is longer and deeper. Okay, so I'd like you to let the breath practice go. Return to an easy, natural breath again without the sound. It's very hard to describe these kind of practices online, and you do have to just trust what you're doing and know that just through breathing slowly, you're going to be bringing benefit to your body. And what we want to feel in tonight's practice is a very deep sense of calm. That's where we're going. So your first pose, kind of steady, kind of classic. We're going to work with Sphinx pose or seal pose, whatever you wish to practice with. I'm going to take my bolster because I like a little bit of a deeper back bend, but without the kind of intensity of having my arms straight. But by all means, you keep your elbows on the floor if you want to. And remember how in recent weeks you have separated your feet or taken your feet really close together, just so that you can explore the different sensations within your body and where you feel this kind of compression happening in your spine. Okay. So arrive in your gentle back bend. And then think about the breath, just like you did previously. Breathe in slowly and steadily and make the sound to your breath. Because this sound is what you were just doing was Ujjayi breathing. And we often call that ocean breath because of the sound. Now, I don't want you to attach too much to the name of the breath practice because the name is irrelevant. Just want you to breathe slowly and smoothly, slightly down the back of your throat again, and make the breath sound like very soft waves, lapping against the sea shore. Now, Ujjayi breath, for most of us, can be very soothing for the throat. For some, it can aggravate the vocal cords because actually you're using the vocal cords to kind of contribute to some of the sound that is happening. So therefore, if you are struggling with anything in your vocal cord, that region of your throat, then please back away from it. However, what I want to offer you tonight is that you bow your chin towards your chest in this pose and then carry on with the breath, sounding like the ocean, the soft, calming, gentle tones of the Ujjayi breath style. You're going to stay here for one more minute. If you now would like to let go of the breath practice, you can, and you can also adjust your head position if you want to. Okay, so let's take the last breath here. And then softly come down to lay on your front. Let your body find the deep heaviness that this practice seeks out. Okay. So our next pose is going to be you laying on your back. Now you could use a block or a rolled up blanket, but you are essentially going to lay on your back, to lift your hips and to take some kind of height underneath the back of your hips. It doesn't have to be as high as a bolster, but something similar to this if possible, if you have it available. If you want something milder, just fold up a blanket and put that underneath instead. From here, you have the option to straighten one leg at a time or do both legs at the same time. And then a final option is to take the arms alongside the ears. But if that gives you pins and needles in your fingers, then please just bring your hands either out by your sides or rest them onto your body if you prefer. So we're still in a back bend picture. We're still creating a back bend. Whereas the previous pose was more concentrated in the sense of compression in the lower back. Now this version of a pose is the stretch, the tension feeling in the front of the hips. So that's where I want you to feel this particular pose. And I'd like you to spread yourself as long along your mat as you can. And let yourself sink into the support of the bolster beneath you. Soften into the shape and let gravity do the work. Now for your breath practice for this pose, I want you to imagine that you are indeed lying on a beach. Perhaps the sun is shining, or perhaps you're lying under a full moon. And the water of the ocean is twinkling. And the sounds of the waves are soothing. The breath is the wave. Starting at your toes, the inhalation gently draws along the body towards the head, while the exhalation moves from the head down towards the toes, washing through the body, cleansing, clearing. Make the sound of the ocean with your breath if it feels good to do that. And with each exhalation, release layer after layer of the holding patterns. Allow yourself to feel almost weightless, buoyant, like the waves are supporting you whilst they heal whatever needs to be healed. Okay, so softly letting the breath and the meditative quality of this stay in this pose, let it melt away. Let your breath return to normal and acknowledge where you're at right now before you come out of this shape. Then I'd like you to think about bending the knees and placing the feet on the ground. And lifting the hips and maybe sliding your support to the back of the knees if you like, for now, and just resting with your back against the ground. Again, surrender into the stillness. Perhaps your body begins to feel weightless. The heaviness of the yin, whilst that's good, and I love it, it's what I come to my mat for these practices, is that deep, rested, surrendered feel. But eventually that lifts and it lightens. The heavy load that we carry gets put down for a short while. The body becomes weightless. Okay. So our next pose is Happy Baby, which can be done, there's a number of ways to do this. All right, so I'm going to give you some prop suggestions in a moment. But just as a reminder, the pose essentially is this, which you can also do like this by just holding onto one leg. If you can't quite reach the leg with ease, you can use a hand underneath the thigh or a strap around the ball of the foot. Some of you won't like to have the knees super wide and the feet into the air like this. So instead, you could hold your feet, but bring your feet together and pull the sort of the heels towards the navel. So there is this one as an option. Or you could do this with one leg too. Okay. So play with that to your own measure. Adapt it as you see fit. If you struggle to hold on to your feet, then I would put something under your head, a pillow of some sorts, because that can make the holding onto the feet a lot more accessible. Some of you, however, won't enjoy necessarily the pillow, but might prefer to go back to using the bolster, where you put the bolster underneath the hips again, same as before, and then this helps you to be in this position, and then you might find holding onto your feet a little bit easier too. So there's a couple of prop suggestions, but feel your way into this, even if it's just hugging your knees in towards your chest with your hips on the bolster. This is a very nice place to be, in fact, as well. It's good for your spine and your shoulders, and also it's good for the compression at the front of the hips for some of you. Okay, so I'm just going to come and have a look and see what you're up to. So yeah, feel free to put the legs as wide, or to do one leg at a time, but well done. I think most of you have got the idea of this. Madeline, what I'm going to suggest is that you still hold on to the outside edges of your feet. That's correct. But instead of having your arm on the outside of your knee, can you put the arm on the inside of your knee? Yeah, that's it. Yeah, perfect. And that might just be a little bit more comfortable. And if it's a struggle, just bring the feet together like namaste, like prayer feet, soles of the feet touching. And some of you might find that that's just a little bit more accessible than holding the feet wide for a more kind of standard pose variation. Good. So this one is a little bit different, the breath work here, because of the nature of the position that you're in. Now, I'm gonna share this with you. Maybe you'll think it's inappropriate, I don't know, but you can tell me at the end. Um, have you heard of people doing naked yoga? I know that you can't really communicate with me because you're all lying there with your feet in the air in this very precarious positions. But nevertheless, there's this brand of people that are doing kind of naked yoga where they like to expose various parts of their body to the sun because they believe that getting the sunshine into various orifices is very good for their bodies. Now, you can tell me at the end whether this is something you've maybe want to try. I don't know, but yeah, just think of that while you're in this pose. It always makes me giggle. Okay, so giggling aside, silliness aside, pranayama. And it's okay, I know we're not doing, Kapalabhati or anything like that here, but just the focusing on the breath is so, so, so good. For focusing and for concentrating and ultimately for calming. So for this one's a little bit different. You can stick with the Ujjayi breath if you like, but this time all I want you to do is breathe into your belly. You're breathing in so the belly expands like a really good yogi breath. And breathing out and the tummy is falling back towards the spine. I want you to do this because you're in a restricted position, your body shape is slightly restricted, so it might be that this is a bit more interesting to breathe like this. If, however, you get tired of the legs in this position, just give yourself a break, put your feet back down onto the floor for a moment, or just hug the knees in. And then when you're ready, you can always return to the pose and to the shape if you want to. This is another opportunity to let gravity take over. Sink into the heaviness, the legs drawing down into the hips. Take one or two more breaths here. And gently release whatever you're holding and let it come down to rest. And perhaps if you want to keep the bolster there, you can, as it's an opportunity to stretch out the hips if you did put one underneath you. Or you can take the bolster away and just rest, because sometimes just bringing yourself to the ground can be the soothing the soothing aspect that we're looking for. Okay, so next pose, almost at the end, almost our final pose, is you're lying on the floor, knees bent. You're going to cross, and we'll do this together. So you're going to cross your right leg over the top of your left thigh. Some of you may like to tuck the toes behind the calf. So you're into a kind of eagle leg position. But if you don't enjoy that, just have one leg crossed over the other. And you can also do this without any cross of the legs. So if you find that that is not your cup of tea, then please know that it's okay always to find your own version. So I've got right leg crossed over left leg, and I am going to roll my knees to the left. Sounds a bit weird, sounds a bit counterintuitive because you think, oh, I'm going to roll them over to the right so I can use my right leg to weigh down my left. But I'm not really worried about that. I'm just looking for this really lovely gentle twist. You could put some support underneath the knees. So my legs currently have caught the edge of the bolster and that just feels quite nice actually. You can turn the head in the opposite direction to the knees. You can also take the arms into a little bit of cactus arm or something along those lines where maybe the right arm goes around the top of the head and you use that to kind of create a little bit more length into the right hand side of the body. Okay, so just take your time because that's what we've got plenty of time. So back to the breath. Breathe into the edges. You know, the edges of the sensations that we feel while we're in these poses. The edge of where it becomes too strong or too challenging for the body. Remember, we don't want to be at that edge, but we are coming towards it. We are going in the direction of it. So breathe towards the edge of the sensation you're feeling and invite softening to occur there. Now your breath is going to move along the right hand side of your body. You are going to take a 4-part breath, starting part 1 at your hip, so the inhale to your right hip, Then inhale a bit more into your right waist. Inhale a bit more to the right rib cage. And inhale the final part into the right shoulder. Pause for a moment and then exhale from the shoulder down the side of the rib, the waist, and the hip back to where you began. And I'd like you to do maybe 6 of these breaths. You don't have to count them, but just stay with the practice and divide your inhalation into 4 equal parts as much as you can. Okay, so I'd like you to let go of the breath work if you're still working with it. And then gently to unravel this pose and to come back to the center. Let's do the other side. Left leg crosses over right, please. And then legs rolling, knees rolling to the right. Remember, you can tuck the toes behind the calf if you like. This pose is called Twisted Roots. And I have to say, it's one of the poses I've come back to. I've had a little hiatus from it for a while, and you know when you feel like you've rediscovered something, and that's this pose for me at the moment. Go back to the 4-part breath. Start at the hip, move up through to the waist, the ribs, the shoulder. And then it's a smooth exhalation as the breath leaves the body. Okay, so let the breathwork practice go. Stay in the pose if you can for a little bit longer. And then gently unravel the twist. Release the legs and come to rest. Just into a little mini shavasana or something that allows you to be still. In your practice tonight, you have worked with your breath, and it has been your guide, perhaps allowing you to go a little bit deeper not by force, but by trust. You've had a quiet conversation with your body. Notice if you feel more clarity, a sense of peacefulness, or just a heightened awareness of the present moment. The breath has the power to do that, to be the anchor, to hold us steady. Taking another couple of breaths in and out. I find that these breath-led practices are a little bit kind of more soporific sometimes, so I don't want you to stay for too long, so I don't want you to get too sleepy. I'd much rather that you got up and got into bed and had a really good night's sleep in your bed rather than on your yoga mat, perhaps. So take your time now to bring your awareness back into the room that you are in. And I'd like you to have a wiggle of your fingers and your toes. Taking a stretch out any way that feels good. Before gently rolling to the side and coming around and up into a seated position once again. Very nice. So we'll finish the practice together, and I'm trying to move away from the arms coming up, but I do want, like I said, just want you to kind of wake up enough so that you can get on with the final stage of your day. So on your next inhale, take the arms slowly out wide. Let the palms find each other above your head and gently draw the hands down to rest in front of the heart. Closing your eyes, relaxing your shoulders, breathing with ease. Taking one more breath in, one more breath out, and then opening your eyes. Namaste. Thank you so much for coming to practice together tonight. Well done.